But this is sort of like, follow-up like to the rev hacking thing. Because like one thing I kind of noticed with the comments is like a lot of people are like, because we give you warning, if you use something like rev hacking, your stuff will break eventually. We don't know like when, we don't know when. It might just, one day like we change something and it ends up breaking as a result, and there might not be a replacement for it. And we've got a lot of people saying like, well, just make it official, or just, like so a lot of people use it, so like, just don't break the stuff. And the problem with that is if we were to do that, they would actually prevent us from implementing a lot of things that you really want, like for example, performance updates or the domains for building big worlds, because it now means we have to freeze, part of the code, part of like something that's not even a design that we're sort of like relying on. We cannot change it, and that kind of ties our hand for future development. So the reason like we give you the warning is because we know this will break. And it's not really a thing, that's like that you can debate about, like because you're essentially utilizing something that's not even designed as a feature in the first place, and therefore it doesn't have any kind of provisions for maintaining long-term compatibility. And the analogy I would like to use is it's almost like us telling you not to do rev hacking for anything long term because you end up kind of hurt. Is think of it like us telling you that you shouldn't run with scissors, because if you run with scissors, eventually you'll like fall and you'll hurt yourself, you'll cut yourself. And you can debate it all the way you want. You can be like well, just make scissors that you don't get hurt with, like like when you run with them, but then it wouldn't be scissors anymore. Like it's something that will happen, and we're warning you because we don't want you to get hurt. But if you do that, like you're not changing the physics of scissors. You're not changing what scissors are. Like that's just the consequence, of what you do. So keep that in mind. Like it's something that like either we freeze the project, we stop kind of developing a lot of the things just to preserve that, or it's gonna break. And those are like pretty much the only two options on the table, and like you have to kind of we're not gonna freeze the project, we're not gonna stop develop things, we're not gonna like stop expanding it, which means that's not even an option for us, which means the only consequence of that is that it will eventually break. And when it does break, like there might not be a replacement because we we might be having other priorities at the time. So that's just a thing, think of it like as getting warning, like don't run with scissors, because that's kind of like what you're doing like in a way a bit. If you use rev hacking for anything that's long term, like you're gonna end up like hurt eventually. And it doesn't matter how much you debate, it doesn't matter how much you're gonna ask. It's just a consequence of like what scissors are, because they are sharp, and running with them where you can trip and hurt yourself. So I hope that kind of makes it a bit easier to understand, like what is it like about. But it is this
Yeah.
is kind of my follow-up to the PSA.
Yeah. Like, I think some people expect like, oh, when it breaks, they're gonna magically get like an auto upgrade or something to any like officially supported method. But the fact remains that it could break one day and there might not be any replacement,
Yeah.
even one that you could implement yourself yet, because we haven't implemented that yet. And even if we implemented like official collections and component access and whatever that you're trying to use ref hacking for,
That might take a
if you are
bit.
using if you're using ref hacking, your stuff's not going to auto upgrade to that. You are not going to get any auto upgrades, bar none.
And that's pretty much, the reason we give you the warning. Because like we know that's how it's gonna like, turn out. That's why we're warning you. And it's up to you whether you take that warning, but if you ignore the warning, you might end up like getting hurt as a result. So That's pretty much like if we knew that something we can easily upgrade automatically, we wouldn't be giving it the warning. We would make the commitment, to supporting it. For example, the most actually recent thing, which actually ties to the second PSA I want to make, but there's the new particle system, photon dust, which is a replacement for the previous now legacy particle system. That's been a hybrid between Froox engine and Unity, and photon dust is a completely custom system that works on a bit of different principles than the Unity ones. But whatever done through its development is actually spent a lot of effort making upgrade systems to convert it, and that's because the old system is designed for you to use, and because of that we now make commitments to preserve what you made as much as possible into the new system, and we spent pretty much over 2 months just making sure everything's kind of fixed up and everything kind of works correctly. So when something is designed as a feature, usually its public interface, that will we will make efforts to preserve how that works. But for something you need to kind of dig under the hood and you need to kind of work around some things. Usually that means that's not going to be a supported behavior. If you need to kind of the moment you start kind of feeling like you have to kind of pull the behavior you want out of it, by kind of digging and hacking something, that should give you a pause and be is this meant to behave this way, or is this gonna stay behaving this way or not? Because in most cases it will not.